Let's do it.
Hi, everybody. This is Christopher Phillips, the founder and executive director of Democracy Cafe, and this is our newest program, Cafe Aretista. The old word, Hellenic Greek word for arete means to achieve excellence in all dimensions of life. And so an aretista is my coinage, and it means somebody who strives for that. And so my guest today is Dr. Robert Carter, author of a fascinating book. I don't write blurbs for books too often, Rob, but your book, The Morning Mind, using your brain to master your day and supercharge your life. It caught my attention.
Thank you.
Yeah. So why in the world would you think of me to write a blurb for such a book?
Yeah, yes, I was fascinated when I had an opportunity to meet you at the Defense Acquisition University, and just really fascinated by your work and your dialogue. And I thought it's so important when people are dialoguing and thinking critically about or discussing topics with friends, how important mindset really factors into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, Chris is a fascinating person.
No, I'm not.
Reach out and engage with you.
Yeah. Now you are. I thought I was an overachiever until I met you. You, you have a PhD in something that I don't know if I even understand. In integrative physiology.
Yes.
And performance management. What is it? What is that?
Yes. Yeah. So, my PhD really is about understanding how environment, the physical and internal environment within the body affects the performance of the human. Meaning whether interacting with machines, exercising, cognitive challenges, stress. It again is how the human is integrated into that overall process, and how factors such as stress, climate, all of those factors can impact the performance of the human, and also the overall health and well-being. Mm-hmm. So if you think about something like, we often talk about drink enough water, and from an athletic perspective, you may think, that's going to maybe affect how well I'm running. But then over time, chronic dehydration can lead to development of kidney stones and other health consequences. So, right. My PhD and that entire discipline is focused on really understanding how internal factors as well as external factors, heat stress and leading to heat stress on the body as well.
Well, it's fascinating because I've committed all these sins. I used to dupe myself into thinking I was a fairly intelligent guy. I had a fairly intelligent diet. Yet I don't drink enough water. It has led to some problems, including dizziness and things like that. And then it just astonishes me, as it said in Butch Casting the Sundance Kid, the tonnage of stuff that I don't know, which is why I just loved reading your book. And it was a little discomforting to come to understand that, oh my God, I'm accomplishing a lot of things, and I might be able to accomplish so much more if I actually took into consideration and to account so many of the prescriptions in your book.
Yes. I really appreciate it. It's and really we're just beginning to, I think, understand, big data is really allowing us to
I have to move. Sorry. Keep going.
No problem. To look more holistically at how these factors in turn impact human performance. And in fact, right now I'm working with a team to understand.
Are you?
Yeah, human physiology and maximizing human potential. And I think that's where even your work, dovetails, because again, that dialogue, that Socratic dialogue, plays an important role in, individual connectiveness, but overall, the overall potential of society.
Uh-huh.
And now data analytics is really helping us to really begin to understand, how interconnected
Mm-hmm.
the world and the universe really is in a way that we haven't thought about in the past.
But what you've written, Rob, has really caught on, not just in the U.S., but you've sold rights, had your book published in some pretty far-flung places, including Russia. So it's something that speaks to many people from many ways of life and walks of life, far beyond the borders of the U.S.
Yeah, generally, I think all humans are should be interested in the human body and the human mind, but many authors have described and talked about these various factors,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's nutrition, whether it's stress, or whether it's more of the cognitive neuroscience, how we think about things.
Mm-hmm.
But many of these are kind of isolated discussions, and what I really, being an integrative physiologist,
Mm.
I really tried to say, okay, how can we integrate this into a broader discussion? And as my wife often describes, it's 15 books in one, but we really wanted to try and integrate those topics that made sense to people.
Uh-huh.
For example, we would get questions on, does it matter, if I get 8 hours of sleep, from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Right.
or is it different on the body if I get those 8 hours from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And we really wanted to sort of shine some light on some of those, just fundamental questions that people often have, and it's difficult to actually find answers to those questions. So you establish the why, and then sort of
Right.
the background piece of understanding the biology and the cognitive piece of that.
Right. So you are from Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Yes.
And so what's the story of how did this what's the genesis of all this in your life story that got you to this point? Because I'm
Yeah.
fascinated by that. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So again, growing up in Cajun country, and it's rich in food, but one thing I recognize, despite the festivity of
Right.
Louisiana, food, music, there's a lot of stress.
Mhm.
There's some. So on the surface, growing up, I recognize that people, although they would engage in so much festivity and food and
Mhm.
fun, there was some underlying stress and
Mhm.
that manifested. So there was this kind of disconnect between,
Mhm.
how people were exhibiting their lives on the external and how there were things going on internally within the body.
Mm.
Also, growing up, um, I really wasn't a morning person. I enjoyed like doing my homework late at night.
Right.
I feel like I've done some of my best thinking after 10 a.m., but
Right.
that wasn't necessarily conducive with, with having to wake up and go to school. So I used to always say, I wish that we had a way to tailor school to meet our own individual
Mhm.
needs. And so,
Mhm.
so again, just that really, growing up in
Mhm.
Louisiana, with my own personal, again, before I even knew about circadian rhythms and biological variability, I recognized that everybody wasn't the same,
Mhm.
and that personally, I felt I performed better at certain times of the day. And then taking that in conjunction with just, the stress, although I didn't really describe it, but I
Mhm.
could just feel that there was, some underlining factors that were
Mhm.
just contributing to stress within the community.
So, in a sense, I think many of us do that. Your book also helped you.
Yes, yes. In fact, my book really were questions that I had, again, going back to, my youth in Louisiana, to questions that, and even much of the research that I've been engaged in have been, is benefited, hopefully, society and others in the scientific community and the public, but many of these were questions that I personally, obviously, as a scientist, you do your best work when you have a vested interest in the answers.
That is absolutely fascinating. Now, I am the quintessential nighttime guy.
Yes.
And so I was trying to relate so much of what I read to my own really weird existence. I have little ones. I became a dad late in life. I have a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old. So against all of my desires, I do wake up quite early. But I don't think I've ever gotten really adjusted to it after all these years, because I was so set in my ways for over 30 years as a writer, doing it a very different way.
Yes.
Help me, I'm suffering.
No, it's funny you mentioned that. I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Who and I had kids relatively late in life as well, and even got married much later than a lot of my friends. And again, very much, and again, this book really, again, for personal reasons, having a family late in life and a kid, much like what I'm understanding from your own lifestyle, I would stay up, to late hours of the night writing.
Yeah. No, my 6-year-old, she won't
Yes.
let me write. She gets upset if I close my office door, so I have to wait till she goes to sleep.
Yes. I can 100% relate to that. Yeah.
In fact, we started this recording the second time because your daughter came into the room and I didn't understand what was going on.
Yes.
And you were mouthing without saying words out loud. And I thought, oh gosh, there's no sound on our recording.
Yes. Yeah. So I can relate. So again, part of that adjustment, is that I've had to just, as you described, just modify my schedule. But the thing I can tell you is that each of us are hardwired a certain way, and it's to maximize your potential, writing potential, the effectiveness of your time. You have to somehow manifest your schedule where you get as much of the overlap between the periods where you're going to optimize your creative your creativity with the time allotted. So for example, I know that my most creative, and it sounds like your most creative periods of time, you kind of have a very good idea of when those are. I've played around with trying to be creative and write at 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. and I just can't do it. My brain is not wired that way. So I've had to adjust my lifestyle, get my family, to sort of agree that, hey, if you want me to be happy and and be able to be expressive, then I'm going to have to basically these periods of time after we have dinner, I'm going to have to spend 3 or 4 hours, basically having quiet time where I can actually be expressive and creative. Because again, it's so important, to each individual's, human physiology and spirit to be able to do what they love, and otherwise it impacts, the overall, family unit and overall, energy of the entire family. So it's just
that's so beautifully put.
to
So you had a
line that up.
dialogue. You had a dialogue with your family, and did it sink
Yes.
in? Did it sink in with them?
It did. It's amazing because my wife was, she was like, "Why are you staying up so late?" And then I would, and I just had to really sit down and actually talk with them. So literally, I would get home from work, and I would try and like, okay, let me grab dinner.
Right.
And then my family wanted to pull me in a particular direction, but I just had a dialogue with my daughter. I said, hey, look, I'm gonna whatever you want to do for an hour when I get home from work, we can do it.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then I said, hey, my wife, I said, what do you want? She said, I want to make sure we sit down and have dinner every night. I said, yep, got it. So okay. And I said, after we do those things, and then I'm gonna have to at least, 3 times a week, I'm gonna need to basically branch off about 9 o'clock, and I may stay up and until quite late, working, and I needed to block off about 12 hours,
That's some sacred time.
uninterrupted sacred time. And I think this having that dialogue is versus being. My wife said, "Hey, only thing I want you to do is be in the present moment,"
Right.
and that freed my mind up to basically be able to be in the present moment because I knew that I'm 100% with my daughter right now,
Right.
and at dinner 100% not talking about work and just going around and see how everybody's day was.
Right.
And I think providing that sacred time, safe space, uninterrupted, 100% in the present moment time when you're doing it. Then when you're away, you could be 100% because you're not like, oh, well, this is taking time away from the family. And so I think it's so important to be wherever you are is to be 100%. But I think I wasn't able to do that until I had that dialogue, at work, and even my team. I said, hey, look, let's try and just be 100% uninterrupted. And so we were able to do is even reduce the time, an hour meeting down to 30-minute meeting.
Incredible.
Because meetings take longer when everybody's distracted, right? And
you
said,
sort
hey,
of have to have a reminder almost of what you're
Yeah.
here for. Now, I have to remind my family constantly about this, sacred time. It's not like a one-time deal where we have one dialogue and then it's remembered forevermore. I find it, in my case, to be a continual process.
Yes. And I'll tell you one thing, my wife is very much an organizer. And so my wife is studying for a board exam. So this is her schedule.
Tell me about your wife a little bit.
Yes. So my wife is a physician.
She co-wrote your book.
Yep, she's co-author of the book, and just an incredible. Spends a lot of time volunteering. She really enjoys volunteering as well as working with individuals and teams on stress management. She practiced intensive care medicine, but decided that really wasn't exactly her her. So she's moving more into psychiatry now, but again, just has done a lot of work with, I would say, and that's kind of where we overlap, with stress management and military populations. She's done a lot of stress management work in incarcerated populations. Right. She's really like a professional volunteer, just really
But she's organized like my wife, and in a way I will never be.
Yes, no, exactly. And so one of the benefits, how you can leverage that to create that sacred schedule is that literally we actually have, each member of the family has a schedule.
Okay.
So my daughter can tell you what she's gonna do from the time she wakes up in the morning to the time she goes to bed at night. Has a schedule, and I have a schedule, and what we can see where all of our schedules come together. So it may seem very prescriptive, but
in a liberating way.
In a liberating way, but it basically ensures that we don't have any time conflicts. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced that when you thought you were going to do something, and the family thought you were going to do something else. Yeah, and the way you deconflict that, the same way you would do it in a workplace, right? You're not gonna be scheduling 2 meetings on your Outlook calendar, right? With your boss, right? Our coworkers. So we kind of manage our schedules in a similar way because it reduces stress. You'd be surprised. It reduces surprise, and it really makes everybody's life, just so much easier because it's
Are you working on something new now?
Yeah. I am actually. So two things that really came from the book. Most of the media, a lot of the media was around sleep. There's so many pieces about sleep. And a lot of my research was actually on sleep in the past. So I'm working on a second book. It may ultimately be the third book, because the other thing I'm working on is parallel is nutrition. So there was a lot of discussion about food and how timing of diet, what we eat, and also it's particularly interesting to me before growing up in Louisiana, where food was so important. Being in a kitchen, the process of cooking, the process of eating,
Mm.
the process of just acquiring the food.
Mm-hmm.
It was so important. And so I'm working on an actual article, in a peer-reviewed article on neuroscience
Mm-hmm.
of eating. So really get into some of the cognitive, physical, and emotional aspects of what we eat and why we eat certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Could definitely see that manifested into a book before we get to the sleep book.
On top of all those, you're a U.S. Army officer.
Yes.
And that's where we met. Like, as you said, at Defense Acquisition University, when I was actually holding a Socrates Cafe. I did it for their 10-week professional management training course. You just, it's how do you fit all of these things in? It just boggles my mind.
Yes. It's and again, it's my primary career, obviously, being an Army officer. In fact, I was recently promoted to colonel. I think I was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. When we met,
That's a big deal, actually.
Yeah,
I know a
thanks.
lot of lieutenant colonels.
Yes, and also I'll probably, if you end up back there again, I'll be there for 402 because
Okay.
I recently learned that I got selected for '06 command as well. So
That's fabulous. Can I just say I'm not surprised?
yeah, and so again, it's one of those where I will tell you, I've had many misfires with attempting to write books, to complete projects, and that's where really my wife, her organizational skills have come into. She's almost like a artificial intelligence machine learning algorithm.
Wow.
And so she's really helped me say, yeah, with this block of time, you can actually get those things done. So I used to waste a lot of time, so I would go to the gym and spend an hour and a half getting a 10-minute workout in. She found me, for example, there's a pretty famous physician who developed what's called a 20-minute 1 day a week workout, and it's by Dr. McGuff, and it's called super slow time under tension. I've gotten more really out of 20 minutes a week of doing that workout than I was getting going to the gym for about a total 5 hours a week. And so,
goodness gracious.
Yeah, and it sounds shocking. It sounds almost like late night TV advertisement, but it's really finding those efficiencies in my schedule that's allowed me to have free time to do what I really enjoy doing. I really love writing, and I'm really enjoying writing books and really writing, translating science to the public. I've enjoyed academic writing and peer review, but I'm really enjoying that knowledge base and translating it for the public.
That's wonderful. I don't think one of my masters is in the natural sciences. I have 3 master's degrees and a PhD, and one of them, and my specialty was teaching DNA science. And it was actually a course I taught called Communicating the Sciences, and it was for teachers. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to sort of translate that without diluting it in any way.
Yes. Now, that's fascinating. I didn't realize. I didn't realize.
You see?
Yes. No, that's fascinating because it's so important. I think today, where we there's a lot of misinformation about science. And again, it's for example, like we have the coronavirus going on right now.
Right.
People are terrified.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reality is that yes, it's scary, but it's not as scary as it. The flu, killed more people
Tens
than
of thousands.
Coronavirus, but it's not as sexy, not as exciting, to report. 30,000 people died, in 2019 from the flu. But you got this, virus coming from China, seems exotic, and so I've had family members call me, hey, what do I need to do about this coronavirus? I said, nothing, just keep doing what you've been doing. you know.
Well, this actually segues into my closing part, Rob, because this newest program I'm doing, I actually hold it in places where I've held Socrates cafes. And so I'm going to show you. I'm in a hotel, beautiful lobby, where at a place where I gathered often with my father, Alexander Phillips, who passed away. But he would come in here, and he would at this very lobby would have these give and takes here. And
Yes.
but what was fascinating was I've been staying here for 15 years. So there's a delegation of students from China staying here right now.
Oh, cool.
And so I was like in the breakfast bar going, oh gosh, they touch these things. Oh my gosh, should I touch them too? And
Yes.
I was like, oh my, you can get really caught up in this. And I'm thinking, am I just clueless about this stuff? Because panic and the herd
Yes.
mentality can just take over.
Yeah, fear and hunger. That those are the. Unfortunately,
Let me tell you.
And obviously the media's job is to report.
Yeah, they scare me. You know whatless.
Yeah, and it's because people want to get more information, but I think sometimes it's so important for us to do what you did this morning, which was beautifully just say, okay, there's 2 cases of coronavirus has been confirmed in the U.S., but last year they were, I didn't stop going to, grocery store, going to work, going to dinner. There were 30,000 people died from the flu, and millions.
Stop! You're scaring me.
But that's the reality.
No, I hear you loud and clear. It just fascinates me though.
Yeah, and what sometimes it's so important to kind of put things in perspective.
Absolutely.
And that's what I enjoy helping do is be part of that conduit between what's in the literature, what's real, and what's at least what we know.
Right.
Theoretical.
And you fulfill that mission so well. Your book is so compelling and engaging. And it was a true joy to be able to write a blurb about it. Rob,
I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's totally my honor and pleasure. Rob, what is your philosophy of life and living?
Yeah. So my philosophy in life is really to live a happy, fulfilling life. To on a daily basis. Things that are bringing joy to your life. Try and get more of that, and things that are not bringing joy and bring sorrow or pain in your life, reduce that. Because at the end of the day, we all have a certain number of days, hours, years on the planet, and be looking for every opportunity to manifest and bring about as much happiness in our lives and in the lives of others. And so the others piece is so critical, because just around us, we see so much suffering, and if we can be that beacon of happiness and be able to translate and manifest that, within the people around us, is so important. It's so important for us to be able to do.
Where does this philosophy of yours come from? Who are your influences in your own philosophy?
Yeah. Actually, my parents. I was very fortunate, that my parents really were really those beacons for me personally, and they said, it's just so important to smile, right? And be happy, and so I just, and then my mom used to say, fake it until you can make it.
My goodness.
Yeah, and
what a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and she said, because the bottom line is, if it's like anything else, right? If you practice frowning, then you'll bring sadness. And I don't know if that's scientific.
These are habits.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Smile, right? You think you can do it, you'll be able to do it. So sometimes when I'm feeling like down, I just smile, and then what happens? People will smile back at you.
That's incredible.
And before you know it, you're laughing for no reason. And so you may have been sad, and now you're laughing just from introducing a smile on your face. And
that's just incredible. I think I see a book here, Rob.
Yeah. And that's actually neuroscience behind.
I bet it is. I'm sure it is.
Right? The same way like frowning, right? If you think about if you frown at someone, you know, you don't have to say anything, but it brings so many thoughts, emotions, physiological changes in their body. The same way when you smile, there's that thought, emotion, physiological response in their body. Then there's a stimulus response. Now they smile back at you, thought, emotion, physiological response in the body. So everybody's blood pressure was just lowered, right? Just by smiling at each other.
That is so cool. All right, Rob, where do we find you on social media? Where can we find info about your book and everything?
Yes.
The Morning Mind.
So our website is www.themorningmind.com, and also on social media, we're the Morning Mind.
Facebook, I've seen you.
Yeah, Facebook. We
You
on
got a lot
Twitter.
of followers. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been.
I only have 3 followers. My mother, my wife. You got like thousands, man. That's impressive.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you know, and I'll tell you, I've avoided social media for, you know, especially being
You and me both.
Yeah, and
I've gotten with the program though.
Yes. And my wife was like, we gotta, you know, we have to connect with people that's, you know, provide people opportunity that's reading to reach out and engage with this, and that's been very very fulfilling. And she handles most of the engagements, and we actually have a friend who's volunteered to help us engage socially. And actually, he looked at my website and he's like, Robert, you know, you've been a friend for a long time. My original website, he's like, but hey, man, I'm going to build you a better website. And so our current website was built by a good friend of mine.
It's a great website.
Thanks. Yeah.
I can just tell in this half-hour exchange that you just have this way of, I mean, people want to help contribute to what you're doing, including me, because I think it's not just dynamic but it's just such an important addition and integration to helping people of so many walks of life become everything that they want to be, and in fact help them along that journey of discovery. And I'm so grateful for you and for your book.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks so much for connecting.
You owe me, man. I'm gonna hit you up for some favors. I'm gonna send the Greek mafia after you.
No problem. Whatever you need.
I've got this on tape now. You know.
Yeah. No, for sure. And again, the fastest most way for me to respond is text. Because
we're gonna have another. To be continued. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And, you know, because most of the time I'm getting emails on my work BlackBerry, which ping.
Yeah.
In my personal email, I don't see it. It's always
well, here we are, and it actually worked out at a perfect time. Look at us. This was a great give and take. It was perfect give and take. So again, it's Dr. Robert Carter. Your book, your fascinating book, is The Morning Mind: Using Your Brain to Master Your Day and Supercharge Your Life. I actually turned down most recommendations to write blurbs, but this one I just was so inexorably drawn to, and I highly recommend it to readers of any walk of life and any background. So, Rob, thanks again so much for being on our podcast. And all I have to say is to be continued.
Yes, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Right.
And let's stay in touch.
We will.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, take good care.
You too. Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.